Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Colorado Springs Small Engine Repair, and in this episode we're going to work on a Honda generator. We're going to tune up a Troy Bilt snowblower, and we're going to tune up an Ariens snowblower. So snowblower tune-up day with the little Honda generator. Alright, let's get to it. Alright, we're going to start with this little Honda EM650. It was brought in. All I know about it is it does not run. So just going to go through the process, try to figure out what is going on with it. First thing we want to check is the oil. And it's got plenty of oil in it. Let's see. Choke on. Alright, let's see. Alright, so this is on, choked. Backside is where the spark plug is at. Looks like spark plug is there. And then air cleaner. Let's check that too. Good. Yeah, that's pretty done. Probably can make a new one. Just cut out a new piece of foam for it. Trash. Alright, we can leave that off while we're just testing it here. And it's got gas, but it's stinky. Might be old. Bear with me. Well, they hung up. Oh well, they didn't want to talk to me. It's got compression. Choke is working. Alright. So from those quick tests, I know that something gas carburetor related. So should be able to just pull this side panel off and get to the carburetor and the gas tank. Let's do that. Alright, the gas is questionable. You can't see it on the camera. It's not clear. It's kind of clearish, brownish. So we're gonna just let that drain. I got another jar that I put it into, and then we got a bucket. But we're gonna clean this carburetor. So I just need to take it apart and look inside, see what kind of treat we get. Oh yeah, I can already see. Gosh, can't even get the bowl off. Try to encourage it a little. You don't want to bend it up. Oh, that's not working. Oh yeah, she's... Woo! That's some old gas. That seal is questionable. Oh yeah, that's bad. Take the jet off, if it will come off. I mean, it's made out of brass. Oh yeah, that came loose. That's encouraging. It's definitely clogged, 100%. 100% clogged. Alright, so I'm just going to finish taking this carburetor apart. Just take everything off it. All the little jets, valves, things like that. Just going to loosen them up. And we're going to put it through the parts washer, the ultrasonic cleaner. And we'll pull them out and see how they look after that. Alright, this is what I was afraid of. This carburetor was bad. I ran it through the ultrasonic cleaner and it seemed to clean it up, but the main jet, this little guy, I got it somewhat clean. It was really hard. Here's another little jet. I cannot get anything to go through the pinhole. And then on the carburetor itself, there's this pathways you cannot like physically get to. You can try to spray carb cleaner through it, and nothing is going through it. So, kind of my worst fear. It is what it is. When gas sits like that and that long, it ruins carburetors. So, we're gonna go online and see what we can find for a new OEM carburetor. That might not even be available, so probably have to get some kind of knockoff. But we'll go look, see what we can find, and then we'll go from there. Oh, hose in my face. Ha! Alright, just talked to the customer. He wants to replace the carburetor. You can only get them from Honda, which makes sense. New carburetor is like 60 bucks, so he gave me the thumbs up. So we're going to order the carburetor, and so look for that in the next episode where we actually reinstall it and get this thing running. Alright, let's go on to something else. Well, it's been a busy day. Got this Ariens snowblower that came in that needs a tune-up. Got a bunch of weed eaters that came in that need a tune-up. And then we got this John Deere that is blown up. So in another video, we'll show where it's blown up. That'll be fun. But before we work on something else, we gotta run and go pick up a snowblower. Alright, that was a quick little trip. Got that Troy Bilt snowblower loaded up. Saw a sweet Trans Am on the way back. So let's go ahead and let's work on that. Let's get a tune-up on it real quick. Alright, a tune-up is an oil change, spark plug change. Of course, make sure it's running right. Grease the what do they call it, the shaft for the different speeds. Make sure the cables are engaging. Make sure the belts are good. They're not dried and cracked. But once we get it, I always like to start them. At least try to. Make sure there's gas in it. Yes, there is. Check the oil. There is oil. That's good. I really don't hear any gas going into the carburetor, so that tells me there's something going on there already. Alright, we're going to have to pull the carburetor off. Alright, that was a little change of events. You gotta spice it up every once in a while. Usually oh man, my socket went in the oil. Usually I get them and the carburetor's gunked up. And they won't start because they old gas in them, this and that. This one, well, where's the spark plug? I mean, it doesn't look bad. I mean, it's pretty carboned up, but the spark plug was fouled. It wasn't firing. So, yeah, put a new spark plug in it, and it started right up, so I let it run. I drain the oil now. And once that's done draining, we will check it out. I always check the shear pins. Sorry if it's clunking around. You can see the shear pins right here. Right here. There's 4 of them total. This one has all of them. That is good. And it actually needs shear pins right here. So we'll put some shear pins on it. I buy these in packs of 10. I don't go through a lot of them, but when we get a customer that brings in one that doesn't have extras, we put them on there. Because you don't want to be snow blowing and hit something and break a shear pin and then not be snow blowing anymore. So, alright, that oil's about done, so let's get back to that. I tip these up this way so it minimizes the amount of oil that gets all over the chassis. And I check the belts. Usually a visual inspection is good enough. We'll check for tension later once we get it up and running. But I'm just looking for dry rotted, cracked. That's nothing. You don't want to be out snow blowing and have a belt go on you. And this machine is fairly new, so the belts are pliable. I can visually look at them. There's no cracking in them. So just put this back on. It's got to manhandle this thing. I don't know how else to put it. Like manhandle, I don't know, force it on, whatever you call it. Because sometimes they don't like to go back in there. I just learned to force it in there, make it work. Alright, next we're going to check the drive and the belts from the underside. Until these have not been off. Cobwebs, the normal stuff. Check the friction disc, make sure it's not pitted or tearing up, which it's not. And I put some grease on the gear. And I also put grease on the shaft for the speed selector. And again, you can see the belt right here. Not frayed, not cracked. Looking pretty good. So wipe the plate down, just make sure no grease got on it, things like that. Because this relies on friction to work, so you want it clean. Don't want anything on it. Put that back on. Oh, MIA. Not really. Just somewhere down there. Where'd he go? Ah, there it is. Ah. All right, let's put oil in it. And we're putting 5W30 in here. That's pretty standard on a snowblower engine. You need that 5-weight for when it is cold out. Makes it easier on the engine components until it warms up. Let that sit for a second. Another thing that I check is make sure that the snow chute is working correctly. And this one is. So nothing needs to be done there. I need to put the screws back on that holds all this together. So by the time this video comes out, Colorado Springs might be having some snow. And we'll see what happens. And we like snow because snow means calls to fix snowblowers. Alright, so that sat for a second. Check the oil. And we need some more. And just add a little and then you let it sit for a second. So while it's sitting, I always like to do something else. And let me show you how to set the skid shoes. So there's the skid shoes. I take an old piece of a skid shoe, slide it under, bring that up, and then we want this on the ground. This is usually a 13 millimeter. You never know, I'll make a liar out of me. No, 13 millimeter. Whoop. So you just loosen these bolts. Make sure the skid is touching the ground. Tighten it back up. It's a quick, easy adjustment. That gap works pretty good for what we do around here. So now it's still dragging, but not so much that it's going to tear up the blade in there. If you got rocks and stuff, you can totally jack it up really high. But that works pretty good. All right, one more check of the oil. Or maybe a few more. And it's right in the middle. Perfect. Should start right up. All right, next thing I check is the handles, make sure that that's working. And also just kind of check the tightness of the cables, because these cables stretch over time. Like this one for the drive control is really loose. So that tells me that when I pull the drive, it's not going to engage that tight. So we're going to make an adjustment on it. I'll get you a little closer so you can see what I'm talking about. See how flimsy that is? So if you ever have problems where it doesn't seem like the drive is really catching that great, this is where you make the adjustment. There's a sprocket right here, and you just loosen these two bolts. You push down on it, and then you push down. You put tension on that cable. And of course, eventually you push down so much that there won't be any more adjustment, and when that happens, you got to replace the cable. This one could probably use a little bit of adjustment too. This is for the auger. You can test the drive by putting an end drive and then pulling back on it. Because then if the tires still spin, you know that it's working the way it should. So let me demonstrate that. And we're also going to check that the gears are going Right, because we got reverse 2, reverse 1, and forward 1 through 6. Alright, so another adjustment. In forward 1 it goes forward. In reverse 1 it still goes forward. So we got to adjust this piece right here. Which can be a pain in the you know what. Because it is under tension. You loosen that, and you gotta push it down. Like I said, it's not easy to do. And of course the back is moving. Oh, well, made it a little bit easier. I put it all the way up in 6th gear. So I'm just going to push that down and then tighten this back up. So you got to hold that in the back and push it down and tighten it. And then you got to test it to see if it's working the way it should. And that's the adjustment it needed. Now it's working correctly. So now you're a pro at doing a tune-up. I bet you that helped. You always wonder what goes on in a tune-up. Well, that's what we do for a tune-up. This guy's ready to go. The only part that is technically questionable is we adjusted the auger handle with the adjustment, but we don't have any snow to test it against. So once it actually hits snow, will it pick it up and throw it? In my experience in doing this for so long, as long as that cable is not flopping around, it's got some good tension in it, and that belt is good, how I adjusted it just now, it will work. Every once in a while I get a call where, you know, I did it and it didn't work. So it just happens, but now you've seen this video, you can make the adjustment. So all right, we got one more snowblower we need to tune up, and then we're going to wrap up this video. All right, we got that snowblower turned up. Did you see all that lovely smoke? It probably had an extra half a quart to a quart of oil in it that shouldn't be in there. So when you check your oil, make sure it's in between the two little dots, right in the middle. You don't want it past the second dot. It's too much. All right, well, I think we're going to call it a wrap on that one. Hope you liked it. Click the like button. Click subscribe. If you have any comments, put it down below. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye.